Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. I'm glad to have everyone here. Today is Friday, June 7th, 2019, and we're going to get started. We're going to open up the charts right here and take a look first at the silver price today. We're looking at $14.98. We're looking at the price shooting up right now. You know what? Central banks. Well, first off, gold has been made what's called a Tier 1 asset. Not long ago. This didn't happen very long ago either. But it never was a Tier 1 asset. Now that it's made a Tier 1 asset, this makes it very special. Because on banks, the banks can now count this as Tier 1 capital. This means they do not have to depreciate the value of gold in their reserves. They can count it dollar for dollar. So if they buy $1 worth of gold, they can count it as $1 of their Tier 1 assets in the banking system. This is a huge move for gold that happened not long ago. Some people are aware of it, some people aren't. But if you guys, probably if you're gold bugs, you probably know all about what I'm talking about, gold being made a Tier 1 asset. Anyway, gold is starting to become a hot commodity to own again very shortly from now. And it's already within the central banking system, it's a hot commodity. But soon I think it's going to start to take off. Because people aren't putting their faith in the dollar so much anymore as they were. And U.S. Treasury bonds are nothing more than the dollar. We're going to talk about U.S. Treasury bonds in just a minute. First, we're on the silver. Let's take a look at gold today and see what it's doing too. We're looking at $1,342 today, and it's up. It's up $7.50 on the day. What's cryptocurrency doing today? Bitcoin and the likes, you know, all of the different cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies has been doing rather well lately. We're looking at a market cap this morning of $254.8 billion. Let me refresh the page. 254.8 billion, that's what it is. 55.5% Bitcoin dominance. And we're seeing Litecoin is taking off on a tear. She's really went up. She went up 10% last night. She's $114.22 for Litecoin. XRP's doing good too. Anytime it's over 40 cents, XRP's doing good. 42 cents for XRP. Ethereum, $248.52. Bitcoin Cash, $396. So our top coins are really holding their own because they really busted a move to the upside, you know, there a few weeks ago. And they haven't fell off that much, really. They fell off a little bit of a price correction, but what we're seeing now is sideways movement. People are getting used to them now at these new prices, and we're seeing sideways movement. We're getting ready for the next leg up a few weeks from now. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin price, $79.38. Let me refresh the page. $79.22. So we're up 3.4% on the day so far for cryptos. Now let's take a look at the Dow Jones. Let me see if she started yet. No, you know what? We got 10 more minutes. But I'm going to go on with the show anyway. I'm not going to wait for the Dow to open today. I'm just going to go on with the show. We were up 181 points yesterday. It wouldn't surprise me if we have an up day again today. The Dow is surging because of everything that the Fed's doing. You know, and it's also weakening the dollar, what the Fed's doing. The Fed is relenting on their raising interest rates. They're going to actually start to lower interest rates very soon, and we're looking at possibly at least one drop in the interest rate, and possibly two in the immediate future drops in the interest rate. You know, and this is very, very bullish for gold. Let's take a look now at crude oil. We're going to go to the one-day chart, and let me refresh the page. It says it's up 15 cents on the day. $52.74 for sweet light crude today, and we're looking at looks like a dropping price. Looks like the price is descending on the one-day chart. Let's take a look at U.S. Treasuries now. This is the biggest mover today. This is a shaker, mover and shaker today, is U.S. Treasuries, and we're looking at some big-time movement. This is astounding to me, the amount of movement I'm seeing, almost 10 basis points in some of them. I was here a few seconds ago, and it was 10 basis points on the 3-year and 2-year, but now it looks like it's 8.3 and 8.8 basis points. Well, anyway, large movements in the treasuries today. Treasury yields are falling today, and there's a lot of volatility in the treasury market today. You know, they're buying into these treasuries big time. Investors are. All the way across the board, huge buying into treasuries. They're scared. They're really frightened right now. And they're seeing this as the big safe haven asset. They perceive that the dollar is the only game in town, when in truth, actually, the dollar's not the only game in town. Gold is a game that's been there forever, you know. And with the newcomer that's come along quite recently, cryptocurrencies. And so now what we have is there are other games in town. It's just that they're not playing the other games. They're only playing the dollar game. Dollar game is going to come to an end in the end. And it's going to come to an end rather abruptly. And when it does, they're all going to try to shift out of dollars. And it's going to be difficult because this is going to happen so fast when it happens. Let's take a look now at the U.S. dollar index. 96.63, and we're looking at a falling dollar index today. It's fell almost a half a penny. It's fell 42% of a basis point. That's almost a half a penny off of the dollar, and it was a quick fall when it happened. Take a look at it right here, analyze it a little bit, come in a little bit closer with the chart and analyze it. And you can see it was a quick fall down in price. 97 to almost 96.5, and it's falling. And this has all got to do with what the Fed's doing. I've said it before, and I said if they ever relent, now this was back when they were hiking interest rates higher and higher. I said if they ever stop this and they start lowering interest rates, we're going to see a drop in the dollar index, you know. And that's what we're starting to see, a little bit of a drop in the dollar. It's just starting. It's just beginning. It's not matured yet. The dollar is still high, you know. It's still up there. Let's take a look at this article. It says, "In gold we trust. Waning confidence in the United States sends world central banks on a buying spree of gold." They're buying gold. Ever since this change to Basel III, now gold's a tier 1 asset. World central banks have went on a buying spree. And quite recently, Trump has done something. He had a deal. Now, you know, when you're doing trade deals and you come to a deal with somebody, you don't suddenly change your policy and change your tone and say, okay, we're going to do something else now. You know? It's kind of like, say you were going to go buy a car. Okay, and you made a deal with the guy. You said, "Oh, tomorrow morning I'm going to come pick up the car, you know, and I'm going to pay you $7,000 for it, you know." So he's expecting you to show up with a $7,000. Agreement's been made. You've shaken hands and everything else. You got a deal, and then the next morning you drive up and you say, "Well, I'm only going to give you $6,500 for the car, and I want you to put new tires on it before I buy it." All of a sudden, the guy would say, "Well, I can't take you at your word anymore because we had a deal, and now you're adding extra terms to that deal." Well, what would happen is the guy that added the extra terms to the deal, confidence and trust in that person would be broken. And this is a problem because the United States has entered into basically a deal. United States, Mexico, Canada trade agreement, USMCA. This is a deal that they had, that they were working between the agreement between the United States of America and the United Mexican States and Canada. Signed, says it's a signed but not ratified free trade agreement. Signed. They've already signed the deal and everything else. And all of a sudden, what does Trump do? He says, "Okay, we're going to put tariffs on you, Mexico." That's like the guy's got the deal done for the car, and he says, "Well, now I want new tires." adding something else to it. You know what I mean? And this is the thing. He's added it to Mexico now. He said, okay, now I'm going to include the migrant thing to the border. You know? He's adding to the deal. The deal was ratified, see? It says the agreement between the United States of America and the United Mexican States is signed. Signed agreement. But it's not ratified. Not ratified. So it's like the guy, he's made the deal on the car, you know, and he's shaking hands on it and everything, right? And the guy's supposed to come back the next morning with the $7,000. Well, the deal's not done until he pays the $7,000 and they exchange titles for the car. But that's the same thing here. This deal was signed, but not ratified. So the deal's not completely completed. Now Trump's stepping in and saying, hey, you know what? I want you to stop all migrants coming into the United States, or we're going to slap tariffs on you, 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, 25%. All of a sudden, this erodes trust. Huge, huge. This is huge. You guys don't realize how huge this is. Trust has everything to do with deals and stuff being made and stuff for the U.S. dollar and everything. Trust is so important when you're ratifying trade deals and stuff like that, because other countries are going to say, you know what, we might make a deal, and then all of a sudden the deal's going to get changed. Where are we? You know? So you have to consider these things. Now, where do people run when all of a sudden they lose trust in the dollar? They run to gold. They always have. Gold is a nemesis of the dollar. It's the antithesis of the dollar. When gold goes up in price, the dollar goes down. They put their trust, really, if you get to the core of the basics of the fundamentals of the entire world's financial system, you're going to find that gold is actually still behind it all. Not Bitcoin. Gold is behind it all still. Now, we might move into a world in the future, 4 or 5, even 10 years from now, where gold loses its luster and Bitcoin takes on the foundation behind the world's financial system. But right now, gold is still the financial basis behind the world's financial system. And what we're looking at is almost like an upside-down pyramid with a little tiny capstone of gold, and the rest of the pyramid that extends beyond it is all these other financial services and financial products and everything else. And really, they're not worth the paper they're written on, an awful lot of them, because of credit expansion. You know? Huge problems in the credit markets. Credit expansion. The system has been over-leveraged with credit, and all it is just an expansion of credit. It's like fluff. You know? I'll give you an example. I'm just going to talk for one more minute. Finish my show. I got a big furnace in the shop, you know. So one night I had a huge fire in there. And I had, I'm going to tell you what. I had that stove full of all, it's a huge furnace. I had that stove all full of softwood. All kinds of pieces of wood in there everywhere. And a lot, you know, I stuffed in a whole wheelbarrow full of softwood into that furnace, you know. And I had a hammer, and I was upstairs working in the shop. My hammer broke. The hammer handle snapped, you know. So I went downstairs, and I opened up the furnace door, and all this softwood was in there. It's just starting to take off, you know, and the whole stove was just full of softwood everywhere. I threw it in, the broken handle and hammerhead and all, into the furnace, knowing full well that at first I would never have been able to find it. If I want to pull that back out of the furnace with all those other pieces of wood in there, I would have never found it. It was mixed in with all that other stuff. But you know, I went back the next morning and all that other stuff was gone, including the hammer handle. But it only took me 1 second to find that hammerhead. I just reached around the bottom of the ashes and felt the lump, and there it was. All the other stuff disappeared, and what was left was what the fire didn't burn. And that fire couldn't burn. That was the steel. Well, gold's the same way in the financial system. They're not paying much attention to gold right now because the entire financial system is built up with all this kindling. It takes everybody's mind off of the gold. All these derivative products and all of this expansion of credit and everything. But when all of that burns up and disappears, what's left down in the bottom that doesn't burn is the gold. You see? It all goes back to the gold. The gold is like that hammerhead. It'll be there when everything else burns away. All of these financial paper assets, all of these instruments of financial mass destruction, like derivatives products, when all that burns away, and it will eventually, because it's all created on nothing. Basically, it's an expansion of credit. When that credit burns away, all that'll be left is the gold, the silver, and maybe possibly cryptocurrencies. We're going to have to wait and see on cryptocurrencies. Let's put it this way. Cryptocurrencies is a contender to gold and silver. But at this point in the game, gold and silver have been there forever, and they are the bedrock behind the financial system. Listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the very next show. Bye-bye.